I know what happens next. I saw you in my dream. You're at Carcosa now. With me. He sees you.
Honey!
You'll do this again. Time is a flat circle.
From the dusty mesa, her looming shadow grows, hidden in the branches of the poison creosote. She twines her spines up slowly towards the boiling sun, and when I touched her skin, my fingers ran with blood.
Hello and welcome to another episode of TouchStones from Dude Is This Thing On. I'm Tyler Daswick, and joining me as always, my co-host and our producer, Emilio Cariotti.
Hey everybody, how's it hanging?
Emilio, we are talking about True Detective today. Show with a complicated legacy, I think, in this era of television.
Yeah, complicated is one way of putting it for sure. I think honestly the series as a whole is a little underrated, just in maybe in my circles.
Oh, really?
Not as many people that I've talked to know about even season 1 of True Detective than they know about like other huge HBO shows like The Sopranos and stuff.
Huh, okay. Well, I was not prepared for that take. I feel like the main thrust of why this is in the series is that first season, which I feel like had a little bit of a moment.
But it had a little bit of a moment compared to something like Game of Thrones, which we've talked about already in the series. Like, you know, it doesn't even scratch the surface, but the implications for it, as we'll discuss, are, you know, can be far-reaching.
Right. Yeah. It's here because I think it really changed not only how what television structure can look like, but also who gets to do TV. And I think the first season is kind of the best example of that.
Yeah, without a doubt.
Yeah, I mean, the first season, are you high on it? Like, it was, I think it's one of the best things I've seen on
It's one
TV.
of the best seasons of television I've ever seen. And in fact, I make it a point to watch it at least like twice a year. Every 6 months, I re-up on another viewing of season 1 of True Detective. It really is that good. Just structurally, it's that good. As far as the characters and their growth and their arcs are concerned, it is clean. There's like zero fat in that story. And just being directed by who it was and the camera work and everything like that is like possible. Who's the director? Fukunaga?
Yeah, Cary Fukunaga. Yeah. He had like a little bit of a breakout. We can kind of start with him. He didn't really have much of like a kind of career before True Detective. Did you know he's a professional snowboarder?
You know what? I don't. Color me crazy, but I think I might have heard that name like against Shaun White in like 2000, like the 2004 Olympics.
I don't know if he was that good.
I don't know. I don't know why. I'm probably just imagining that though, knowing me.
But no, this guy was a professional snowboarder. Didn't do much with that, and then but went into television. Kind of had like a weird path. I think his first job was with like a Destiny's Child music video or something.
Yeah,
like that.
he came from the music video scene, I think.
Yeah, but he did every episode of this show, which was really unusual in the first season, which was unusual. And he, I mean, he kind of got like a blank check status after, right? Like after this, he did Beasts of No Nation. You remember that, like Idris Elba?
No, it was great. Yeah, snubbed at the Oscars. Like, was one of the really big front runners for Netflix. It was like Netflix's big release where it's like, we are going to get in the Oscars. People are going to take streaming services seriously. Here's Beasts of No Nation. great movie, not a huge budget or anything like that, but they secured some great talent, and it really showed. And then after that, he ended up doing Jonah Hill and Emma Stone had that TV show on.
Did you watch that, Maniac?
Dude, I kept trying to, but I kept putting it off, man. It was the second time we've talked about something I put off. But I have been meaning to see it. I was just watching Superbad last night and just on a Jonah Hill kick.
Made you want to get into Maniac? It's really good. But I feel like his big moment, at least for me, when everyone kind of started talking about him, is at the end of the 4th episode, which I think is called Who Goes There?
Yeah.
When he does that big, long, extended take.
That swept the internet for like a week.
Yeah. Well, like, I don't think anyone had seen that on TV before, right?
On TV, no. I mean, there's a lot of things that True Detective did that hadn't really been seen or done on TV, really. Maybe not at all, but at least in a very long time. And one of those was that single take scene. So if you don't know, just a bit of background about True Detectives, and the reason we're focusing more on season 1 is that it's an anthology series. So every season is completely different. So season 1 has nothing to do with season 2, thank fucking Christ. Season 2 has nothing to do with season 3. In season 1, you have Cary Fukunaga directing with Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson starring opposite each other as these two like grizzled detectives as they try and piece together a very grisly string of murders that span a 30-year time period. And so, this 4th episode really, I think, brought the entire show together. And I think that's when people really started taking it seriously. Because you're right. On TV, at least, I don't think a single take scene had really been done that well, at the very least, on television, that professional. I think the only thing you could really compare it to was Children of Men, which had the entirety of that movie is all segments of single take scenes. And to great effect, that movie is very immersive.
Yeah.
And this, I think it's like 6.5, 7 minutes or something like that. This 7-minute scene is one of the most immersive pieces of television you'll ever watch to this day.
Yeah, and it mattered. Like, Children of Men, I think, is really recognized among people who watch a lot of movies as great for the way it's shot and presented. But like my dad, who, you know, he wouldn't know Children of Men from
he probably wouldn't
else.
like it. And I'll blank out her name in post, but my sister, she watched Children of Men. I watched it on my own. I just stumbled upon it, and I thought it was fucking amazing. And I was like, hey, have you seen this movie Children of Men? And she's like, oh yeah, I watched that like a year ago at house. I'll also blank out his fucking name. And she's like, I fucking hated it. And I was like, oh, okay.
Oh, damn. Yeah, well, first of all, I told you to watch Children of Men back in high
Maybe,
school, but
maybe.
it's fine.
I can't fucking remember who told me.
It's fine.
Whatever.
It's fine. But no, like Children of Men, not really like a mainstream movie. But you know, here's True Detective, Sunday night HBO flagship show. That's something that, you know, anyone would kind of just tune into if they had the channel, and to see a shot like that was like, yo, holy shit, this show's on one. And
yeah, no, I know.
And that coupled with, you know, you had McConaughey and Harrelson. I remember when True Detective started, talking to my dad on the phone, and that was like mind blowing to him, where he was like, what are Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson doing? They're doing an HBO show? He like didn't understand it. He was like, is it a movie? I'm like, no, Dad, it's a miniseries.
No, Dad, it's HBO. Yeah. And then you look at camera 3, you wink, and it cuts to commercial.
But it was pretty unprecedented. Not only for kind of like its caliber of stars, which I think we can spend some time talking about, but I mean, the sheer kind of quality and ambition of the filmmaking and the style was pretty radical.
Well, it ushered in two things, Tyler. First and foremost, it ushered in the McConaissance, which was important for one man's career, but also the nation's soul. Because out of this, he had already been on like a comeback, I guess. He had already done.
There was an on ramp.
Yeah, he had already done Lincoln Lawyer, and I can't remember if Mud was out or it was around the same time.
Same year.
Yeah, same year. So it was around the same time, and he comes out with this. And I remember seeing the trailer for this like a year before it came out. I think. I'll blank out his name too.
Yeah, we're just going.
It's gonna be like an episode of the Osbournes. I'll blank out his name too. He showed me it, and he's like, "Dude, you gotta fucking check this thing out." Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson are in a TV show together. And yeah, like you said, like I had the same reaction as your dad. Like, the guy from Sahara, what the fuck is he doing? Like, what's Failure to Launch doing with, fucking Natural Born Killers? That's like how I knew them. And it not only did it usher in the McConaissance, but it ushered in what everyone today is calling, I personally think it ushered in what everyone today is calling the golden age of television. I think, honestly, this was one of the first shows to really break new ground and allow other huge, big budget shows to really start to flourish, including, honestly, Game of Thrones.
Yeah, I think the main reason, or kind of like its main point of influence, True Detective in like the grand like golden age of TV narrative, I think, like, because you have, by the time True Detective comes, you have Breaking Bad already, you have Mad Men, Sopranos has come and gone, we've had The Wire, we've had kind of like these pantheonic shows. I feel like True Detective though kind of changes the game of, like we said, like who suddenly is on TV and working on TV, right? Like Cary Fukunaga, this very kind of like film influenced, stylish director. It's already rare for someone to kind of come along for an entire season of TV. That's super unusual. You have these big A-list movie stars. That's unusual. And then you have this guy behind the scenes, Nick Pizzolatto, writing the show, a total no-name before True Detective. Didn't he, wasn't he like a teacher and he had some like failed novels and stuff?
I think I told you. I didn't know about the failed novel thing. But yeah, don't quote me on this. I know we're supposed to be a professional show, but I'm pretty sure he was an English professor before this. And yeah, you were right. He was working on something. He had like a couple of novels or something like that. I can't remember if he worked in television at all before this. Maybe he was in a couple writing rooms, but I think primarily
he worked on. I think he worked on a couple episodes of The Killing. Did you ever watch that show?
Oh, that's right. That was actually a pretty good show for what it was. Think of it as True Detective before True Detective and on AMC, so the budget wasn't as good and they weren't able to be as like graphic with it. But honestly, it was pretty good for what it was.
Okay. I don't agree. But
the first season I thought was okay. It whatever. But
I think he worked on season 3. So anyway, regardless.
Whatever.
He worked on The Killing, and from everything I kind of gathered in the research and the prep, totally hated it and just was like a total not a team player.
Oh, like he hated just the process of writing with other people.
Yeah, hated all the collaboration and stuff, and he was like, I'm going to do my own thing. Was working on a book called True Detective, and was like, I'm going to make this my TV show, and shopped it at HBO, and HBO was like, 2 thumbs up. You get everything you want now, which is crazy.
But that's what I'm talking about. I don't feel like any other, even Netflix at the time, I can't remember how big Netflix was or if they were doing like original programming at the time.
I mean, they might have had House of Cards.
They might have had House of Cards, but like they weren't greenlighting everything like they're doing today, where they're just if you come in with like a fucking, I don't know, a crazy idea and a billy goat that can like burp the ABCs, you got yourself a fucking show on Netflix these days, you know?
Yeah.
That's so like unprecedented, even for like a really big risky network like HBO to be like, here's this guy that was on one season of a TV show that got canceled, and he has a book that who knows if it's any fucking good. Here's a blank check. Like, he must have had a damn good sales pitch.
Yeah, I mean, the first season's amazing.
It is. It's like perfect television.
So, I mean, if he shopped those first 2 episodes, you know, like, yeah, a kind of a cool idealistic moment where a great creative project wins on its own merit, you know, and doesn't need like a notable name attached, right? Like think of any other, you know, career path in television up to that point. Like you had to be like Matthew Weiner, who made Mad Men. He worked on The Sopranos. You know, like you kind of have these like set institutions. It's even more apparent in comedy, which we'll cover more in other episodes. But you had to be kind of these like established people, like David Simon's relationship with HBO. He like was an established writer, wrote a book. The book did well. Homicide: Life on the Street went to HBO, made that into a miniseries. It did well, and they're like, okay, now you get The Wire, right?
Yeah, he had a portfolio just like any other artist.
Yeah, exactly. And it was kind of crazy for Pizzolatto to come in with no portfolio, and then get really like a blank slate to make whatever show he wanted. Total creative control, no writer's room. He wrote every episode. He had one guy direct every episode, and then get all the money to have this incredible cast on top of it. It set a really insane precedent, which was funny because like the show True Detective itself kind of like fell victim to that, I think.
No, I know it did. It was a lot of ways. I'm always the type of person that if a show doesn't do good, like its second or third season or whatever, I always try and analyze why. And most of the time, this is just me personally, I just based on no professional opinion, but I feel like most of the time writers get into their own like head or up their own ass about certain things.
Yeah.
And man, if it didn't happen in season 2, again, color be surprised. It definitely seems like it has all the hallmarks of the showrunner being like, I fucking got this, and then just completely dropping the ball. So season 1 was this massive success. It has like at least one hallmark episode. I think there are multiple episodes in that series where it's like, this is an excellent episode of television.
Throw out your fave.
My favorite is episode 4, but honestly, I love the ending. It's very rare that I see a television show that has like such a complete and sound, satisfying ending. It's not like a super happy ending or anything like that, but like it feels like the characters played by Matthew McConaughey and Woody Harrelson come to a nice, gentle halt at the end of the story. There's no abrupt drop off a cliff. No like gag, gotcha, fucking someone's trying to recreate Usual Suspects. Like none of that shit, right? It just comes to a nice, like caressing close, like a really good play or something like that. So honestly, I think my favorite episode is the last one, man. It just finishes up like a beautiful fucking season of television. That being said, the second season, everything that the first season did right, the second season took all those lessons and said, today's opposite day. And they just did the complete fucking opposite of that. Yeah. Messy directing, multiple directors, camera work's not like as tight. The acting, in my personal opinion, was actually fine. I know that you personally did not like the casting choices made in that show. I have
a very specific take, but
do you want to talk about that specific take? Because might as well, since we're talking about characters.
I feel like everyone cast. Okay, who are the 4? We had Vince Vaughn, Rachel McAdams,
Colin Farrell, and the one guy from John Carter. I can never remember his fucking name.
Taylor Kitsch.
Yes, I like him. He's fine actor.
Great as Tim Riggins. He will always be Tim Riggins.
I don't know that character. Who is that?
Oh, Friday Night Lights. You never watched?
Oh. Fuck no. You have this weird, like, menage a trois with sitcoms and bullshit TV that I never...
Dude, that is not sitcom. That's not a bullshit show.
Whatever.
Friday Night Lights?
No.
Dude,
I don't watch One Tree Hill. I don't watch Friday Night Lights.
Oh my god.
Whatever bullshit ABC stuff you're shucking. I don't watch it.
Oh fuck.
But dude, continue.
Oh shit. Hold on. Okay. Damn it.
We are on opposite side of the spectrum on that.
Yeah. God damn it. Okay. Taylor Kitsch. I agree with you. I like all of those people. I think they were massively deserved by, if that's even a word, deserved by Pizzolatto's writing. I don't think...
weak writing.
Yeah. I think Vince Vaughn is a good actor and can do serious shit. We've seen him in serious shit. The stuff he had to try and pull off in that season is I don't know if anyone could have done it. Colin Farrell, I think, comes the closest to the 4, and he is scraping by, in my opinion. I feel like anyone would have been doomed in those parts.
Yeah, no, I mean that's really the weakest part. You can blame certain production things, you can blame like multiple directors, but honestly so many other fucking anthological shows have multiple directors, and even just regular television, most TV shows have multiple directors and they work out fucking fine.
And writers
like a revolving door of fucking writers and directors and they work out fine if they stick to a central character arc. The writing has to be true to these characters. And you know what? Honestly, we've talked about this show a couple times. I think I'm coming around because I've always defended Vince Vaughn in that because I just really like Vince Vaughn.
Yeah, me too.
And I think he does serious well. And I don't think his character was the weakest one here. Honestly, I thought Rachel McAdams' character was probably the weakest just because they didn't really flesh her out that much. And Taylor
she's done dirty.
Because he dies. Fucking every single character dies except for Rachel McAdams. Fuck, they all had abbreviated fucking story arcs. But yeah, I think Vince Vaughn, they tried to make him do like this Mickey Cohen like Los Angeles gangster sort of thing, and it just didn't work out. I thought his ending was okay. I thought what would have been really cool is like everyone dies except for Rachel McAdams, sure, but everyone should have died sooner in the series than they did. They tried to like drag a lot of their stories on, and like there was no need to. And it would have been cool if instead at the very end of the show, where it's just like Rachel McAdams and nails or chains or blades or whatever the fuck that guy's name is, Vince Vaughn's like number 2. If they didn't end up in like Argentina somewhere, like living off of like trying to escape fucking mercenaries, if they didn't if Rachel McAdams didn't have to like solve the end of the mystery by herself or something like that. Like everyone's fucking dead. They're gunning after her, man, and she's got to fucking like 24 style solve this pedophile ring or whatever. I can't even remember what the fuck it was. I'm pretty sure it was like a pedophile ring.
I don't know, man.
But for some reason they just dragged everything out. It was just a fucking mess, honestly. Like none of the characters got a good send off, and it was just bad writing. I blame nobody but Nick Pizzolatto.
Yeah, it's like everything that was really, really celebrated about season 1, they tried to double down on, but they didn't realize that what made it good in season 1 is that it was delivered in just the right amount by just the right people. Like you watch McConaughey and some of the stuff that he's delivering in season 1 and all that like time is a flat circle shit, like, man, like said the wrong way or presented the wrong way, and that stuff just sounds dumb as fuck.
Yeah, it sounds really cheesy.
But he just, is sucking on those Lone Star beers and just selling it, It's just on one. It's great.
Yeah. I think what made season 1 so good is it was so unexpected. And what happened to season 2 was we were expecting way more, especially with like Colin Farrell, Rachel McAdams, Taylor, whatever the fuck his name is from
Kitsch. Yep.
Kitsch from
Friday Night Lights, baby.
Sunday Night Blues, or whatever the hell it's called, Varsity Blues. And Vince Vaughn, like these are, with the exception of maybe Vince Vaughn, who most people probably only knew from comedy, these were like really respected dramatic actors and actresses. And they just like were flat. It's like if you have this great opera singer come onto stage and then she's just flat for 3 hours and you're like, what the fuck was that?
Yeah, no, I think it even extends to the style of the show. Is, Cary Fukunaga in season 1 kind of like, in a weird way, sort of like creates this house style of True Detective. But I don't think what Pizzolatto realized is that Fukunaga really was like the key supplement. He kind of like washes everything in this color palette that really suits the dialogue, and he's able to kind of capture the lighting and the way everything was set and the production design. Where did they shoot it? Was it Louisiana?
I don't know where they shot it. I assume it's probably in Louisiana. The first season takes place in Louisiana.
Yeah. And I mean, just the way all that is presented, it's just such a cool marriage of substance and style, right? But
it's got this, I think we talked about it before, like what was so great about the show was like the atmosphere of it. And you had, because it takes place in the South, you have this malaise. I can't remember who said that. But
nice.
You have like it's the weight of like the humidity of the swamp and the drawls and the accents and like the old family ties and these blood feuds and the way that the South works, like in the way that it functions. You know, I'm not in the deep South or anything like that, but I have now moved to the Southern United States, and it is there is a distinct, palpable difference here than in any other part of the United States that I've been to, and that's captured. The heaviness of just living that deep in the South is captured so well there. And as somebody who's been to California a bunch, you lived in California. It didn't seem like some LA story or something. I didn't get that, you know, which is weird because it's such a well-known city. I feel like it's a lot easier to capture that.
Yeah, I mean, well, they tried to capture it in the same style that they captured Louisiana, and it just came off as it came off as a parody of the first season, in my opinion.
That's actually a pretty good point, actually. That's a good way of looking at it.
Yeah. What'd you make of season 3 with Mahershala?
I was gonna ask you what you thought of it. I have no opinion one way or another. It is completely neutral planet.
Yeah, it kind of just slid off my back. I don't really care enough about it.
Can't remember any one particular scene very clearly. I've only seen it one time. I didn't even see it all in one sitting like I could do. I can like watch season 1 of True Detective in one sitting. I'll pump it out in an afternoon. You could do that for season 3, but it just feels really long and bloated. Mahershala Ali does a fantastic job. He is a tremendous actor, but the script is very safe. And honestly, I don't know what it is about Nick Pizzolatto. I think honestly this guy's like a one-tune songbird. I don't know what the fuck that phrase is, but a one-trick pony. But he kind of just falls back on like pedophilia rings, like because that's the first one is not quite, but might as well be. The second one definitely is, if I remember correctly, something about a guy in a crow mask.
There was some sex stuff.
There was some sex stuff, and then the third one is the same fucking thing. It feels. Again, they tried to capture that like deep South malaise in like Arkansas, which is the South, but it's a different South.
South.
It's not like Louisiana, Mississippi, Alabama, you know? Yeah, you're right. Like they just try and do that same like heavy, humid weight on the city and the environment and the characters themselves, but it definitely doesn't work in LA because LA is all like smiles and flash and, you know, sunny weather and shit like that. And you can make a really fucking. There's so many LA fucking drama cop shit that happens.
One of our favorite movies is an LA crime movie called Drive.
Yeah, that captures the city, the neon lights, the pulsating like music and everything like that. Captures it fucking perfectly.
There's an LA vibe. Yeah,
it is an LA vibe. You know, like it'd be like if they tried to do Miami Vice, the TV show, in like Fargo, North Dakota. But like everything is exactly the same except it just takes place in North Dakota.
Right.
It doesn't work, right? The neon colors and the Lamborghinis and shit doesn't work. So it doesn't work in LA, and it sure shit doesn't work in Arkansas. I think just coming off of season 2, they were so afraid of fucking failure again. They just played it safe. It's just like a really safe. It's not bad. It's like not horrible, but it's not great either. There's nothing really to fucking write home about.
Yeah, and I think I'm trying to think of how we can kind of put a bow on this, because the one connecting point of all three is Pizzolatto, and that is like a significant thing that we see in TV now, is this, you know, consistent creator always present, even if he's in this anthology miniseries format, which we hadn't really seen before True Detective. I think the only thing that precedes it that combines a miniseries and combines an anthology was American Horror Story.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I guess that was before it. And they did a really good job with that. And honestly, there are some seasons that are really shit. Apparently, I never watched past season 2. There are some seasons that are really garbage. And every once in a while, like every third season, they'll have one that's actually pretty good, you know?
Right.
So long as the writing is strong, any anthology series can survive. But I think the main crux of like why we chose this show is like what the lasting impact is, and like it, like I said before, it ushered in the reconnaissance, which is not nearly as important as the golden age of television, and it allows TV shows to have talent cross over from film. Because before this, into the 90s and early 2000s, if you were a TV or a movie actor and you dropped onto television, that was like a blow. Like people were like, "Fuck!" Like Lou, I don't know. I was gonna say Lou Ferrigno, but I feel like he was always on TV. Like, I don't know if George Clooney like did all those great movies and then went back to ER.
Oh, you're right.
Yeah, like if Leonardo DiCaprio went back to Growing Pains, like that would have been like, what the fuck is going on? But this allowed actors to cross that barrier on both sides, because I mean, you have Mad Men running at a similar time. John Hamm is like one of the biggest movie actors like of all time right now. He's a very highly successful like actor. He started out in television, and the same thing. You see a lot of film actors like Mahershala Ali crossing over and doing the 3rd season of True Detective. You know, that would have killed someone's career 10 years ago. But now it wasn't that great of a show. It's just a blip on the thing, being like, he tried TV and he didn't like it. He's going to go back to movies, but no big whoop. You know, it's not a killer.
Yeah, I mean, it's the place. TV now is like a prestigious destination. Like Mahershala Ali wins his Oscar for Moonlight, and then what's my next project gonna be? Like, an HBO miniseries. Like, I'll go do True Detective.
Yeah.
And you've got, you had this past year Amy Adams and Patricia Clarkson on Sharp Objects.
Yeah.
And it's rare that we, it's funny you mentioned John Hamm. He is sort of one of the last people we called, and I don't think we would call him this anymore, but who we called like a quote unquote TV actor. Mm-hmm. He was John Hamm got his start as Don Draper, and he was a great TV actor and delivered one of the, I think, best performances of the 21st century. Like, it's just that amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
But now, like, he just dabbles around, does his movies, does some comedies. He's entering a couple dramas, and
he strangely does a lot of comedies. Man, he's a pretty funny guy. So
he's
I'll
really
give it
funny.
to him.
He's really funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, the reverse now is more common, where you have McConaughey's and Amy Adams, and fucking Meryl Streep was on the last season of Big Little Lies.
Oh yeah, that's true. I mean, Big Little Lies is packed with star power.
Right. Reese Witherspoon, Nicole Kidman, like Academy Award winners are seeking out television projects.
Yeah, and Emmy is these days, an Emmy is just as coveted as an Academy Award, honestly.
Yeah. And so I think I totally agree. I think that's a huge part of True Detective's legacy. If you want to, define the golden age of television by its quality, we can go back and forth on that, but definitely in terms of like personnel, talent, resources, money, budgets, production design, all that stuff, TV has never been more capable of doing any kind of story you want. And True Detective was one of the first examples of a really distinct and specific type of story that was approved, because on TV you have that freedom and that landscape to do whatever you want. You're not limited by, runtime or, theater, production quality or whatever, like you don't have, that was a silly phrase, but
no, but I get it. You're not confined by the traditional like barriers of a movie where it's like you got 2 hours, maybe 3 to keep these people's attention, and that's it. But here you can get a slow burn like True Detective, where a season like this, where it exists in its own vacuum, is treated like a really good movie. Like one season of television is like as good as fucking No Country for Old Men. Pick your poison, Right. And dude, one of my favorite things about True Detective is I love that it was only 8 episodes. And that was like I said, there's no fat on that show. It's clean.
Yeah, and I love that is like a normal thing for TV now, where they don't have to stretch things out for that 22 episode order, like we used to get with like, old seasons of Lost or
24.
or what have you. 24.
24 episodes of television. Oh my God. I can't even make it through the first season of 24 anymore. It's too fucking long.
Yeah, it feels long as shit. And I just think it's kind of remarkable now that we live in a world where an NBC sitcom like The Good Place can run for, 12 20-minute episodes in a season.
Yeah.
Dust off its hands and get out of there. Like,
people are cool with
wow.
it because the market is so saturated with other stuff that you can do in your spare time. You're not sitting there waiting like, oh my God, it's a year and a half to the next, unless you're like a really big fan of the show. But even then, you can like satiate yourself with like BoJack Horseman or whatever the fuck else is coming out on Netflix.
Yeah.
You don't have to sit there and wait. The reason that a lot of these shows were so long is because you had to sit there for half the year, and then the other half of the year was the off season. They were judging up the next season, and then you just started your life over again. The precedent of like an 8 episode season is like remarkable, and we have True Detective to thank for that. Thank God.
Yeah. Awesome show. Do you last question I'll throw out there. Do you want any more of it?
Oh, I mean, if they could somehow replicate the magic the first season, fuck yeah, give me more.
Oh, yeah.
But I mean, if they're just gonna keep like floundering, no, man, just end it. And like the good thing about this, I said this before, is season 1 exists in a vacuum. I can just pretend that season 2 and 3 don't exist, motherfucker. I don't watch season 2 ever. I've seen it one time. I saw it every episode for every week that it came out when it came out like 5 years ago or whatever, right? And I literally waited till the entirety of season 3 was finished to just like blow through it in 2 days because I had already heard that it wasn't that great, so I was like, fuck it, I'll watch it just out of solidarity, but like I don't care. But yeah, the great thing about it is it exists in its own space, and just go fucking watch it. Go watch it right now, and then you don't have to watch the other 2, and you are missing nothing. But just take the time that you would have gone to watching the other 2, rewatch the first season.
Yep. And I mean, that first season alone is good enough that we're talking about it now. It's a touchstone.